The ban on binary options, specifically the ban on a broker like Pocket Option, I'm sure many of you have wondered at least once, why do some countries block binary options at all? Well, you're being lied to. While everyone else is panicking, reading those loud headlines, and frantically withdrawing their remaining funds, I'm calmly trading and withdrawing pretty decent amounts in crypto. And that's not just some kind of bragging, it's basically a fact. Watch this video to the end and I'll show you what's actually going on with regulation. Why all these bans are the best smokescreen for those who know where to look, and exactly how you can turn this panic to your advantage. What others are silent about will become your main trump card today. Let's start with the most important thing, the information storm that's been whipped up around binary options. Every day we see screaming headlines like, binary options are a scam. Trading is banned in Europe, America, and elsewhere, and Pocket Option is being blocked. And you know what the funniest part is? Technically, in essence, it's not even a lie. It's just a tiny piece of truth taken out of context that they're using to try and scare everyone. Even though I trade here, I always say that binary options naturally carry risks. They have indeed faced serious pressure from regulators. And this didn't exactly start yesterday. Yeah, back in 2016, Belgium became the first in Europe to introduce a total ban. Other countries soon followed suit. The European regulator, ESMA, introduced strict restrictions for retail traders, which is basically us. Similar measures were taken in the UK, Australia, Canada, and Israel. The reason is the same everywhere, protecting inexperienced investors. Regulators claim that about 80% of beginners lose their deposits, and they're actually absolutely right. High risks, 60-second trades where you can lose everything, and a bunch of frankly fraudulent firms that were just making up quotes. All of that is exactly what gave binary options such a terrible reputation. And this, friends, is that very same partial truth. The bans exist. Yes, indeed, things are getting worse, but the devil, as always, is in the details. These bans mostly affect companies registered within those countries, like in Europe, Australia, and so on. They're aimed at preventing brokers from legally advertising and selling their services to citizens of those states. What does this mean for us, Faimai? It means that while some markets are closing, others continue to thrive. Traders from Europe who were cut off from legal brokers simply moved to offshore companies. And that's neither good nor bad, it's just the reality. That's exactly what my main point is. Bans didn't kill the market, they transformed it. They created a filter that weeded out those who trade on luck, believe in a get-rich-quick button, and are afraid of every little noise. And they kept those in the game who are ready to dig deeper, look for workarounds, and take advantage of the situation. Now let's move on to the most interesting part, how this regulatory maze is structured. Most people hear a word like ban and imagine, well, some kind of iron curtain. In the world of finance, everything's much more clever. How to work safely in this gray zone? And to this question, I also have like a definitive answer. We just discussed, right, that bans are bypassed through offshores? But then a second problem arises, right? No less serious, how to transfer money. Even if you've accessed the broker's site, right, how do you top up the account? Banks in many countries, especially there in Europe, simply block transfers to unregulated companies. You try to pay, I don't know, with a card, you might get a rejection, or what's worse, the payment doesn't go through. You trade, you earn, you set a withdrawal, and bam, you realize you can't withdraw. And this is exactly where our main trump card comes onto the scene, which changes everything. I think you've already guessed it yourself. It's naturally cryptocurrency. For example, to top up the account, as you can see, I have the site open, my balance. You can choose the method, right, through which you want to top up. As you can see, I have very, very many of these methods here. You can, by the way, also top up via card, as I said, right? So check that relative to your own bank. I, for instance, always use crypto. In crypto, we have Tether, right? We can top up there via Binance, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Tron, Ethereum, Toncoin, Ripple, Solana. Basically, we have absolutely everything here. For example, if you want to top up in USDT, you choose the amount, you're given an address, you basically make the transfer. Don't transfer to my wallet, by the way. Anyway, you make the transfer and the money hits your account instantly, right away. The money just arrives at essentially my wallet and is withdrawn the same way. Why does it work? Essentially, it's ridiculously simple. Cryptocurrency is decentralized, right? When I top up my account on Pocket Option, I'm not sending money from my bank account. I'm making a transfer from my crypto wallet to the broker's crypto wallet. For the banking system, this transaction, well, essentially just doesn't exist. It's all inside the blockchain, which nobody can block. Same thing with withdrawals. I request a payout not to a card, but to my USDT address. The broker sends me crypto, it hits the wallet, and from there, I do whatever I want with it. Withdraw to a card, pay for services, keep it as an asset. I mean, in some countries, you can even buy an apartment with crypto. So the main lever of pressure for regulators, which is financial control, well, it just doesn't work anymore. And this solves several problems at once. First, accessibility. You can top up your account from anywhere in the world. Second, speed. Crypto transactions on networks like, say, TRC20 for USDT happen in minutes. A withdrawal that would take 3 to 5 days through a bank, here it takes, just a few minutes. And third, privacy. Your bank doesn't see where the money's going. You need to understand, right, how crypto wallets work, what ERC and TRC20 networks are, so you don't accidentally send money into the void. Yes, the crypto rate is also volatile, but believe me, spending one evening to figure it all out is a tiny price for the ability to calmly withdraw your profits. Crypto isn't just a buzzword. In our case, it's a tool that turns scary bands into just empty noise. While others try to push payments through fickle banks, we work, let's say, thanks to cryptocurrency. And now I'll show you how it all looks in real life. I mostly specialize in a currency pair like euro-dollar because this currency pair has a huge capitalization. And I'll say right away that I never trade on the OTC market. I mostly trade on the real market, right? Not on weekend markets, because on the real market, news also comes out. And here I'm opening, for example, TradingView. I think many of you know this site. Basically, as you can see how the chart looks here, right? And how my chart looks here, everything is absolutely identical for us. Just compare them. So I think the question of whether the broker makes up some values or something else is completely irrelevant here. I'd also like to say that naturally, as I said, there used to be brokers who could cheat people, not withdraw money for someone, and so on. But a broker like Pocket Option has been on the market for a very, very long time. Before trading here and generally, filming something about it and so on, I deposited over $10,000 into, well, my account and withdrew it. I didn't have any problems, and a huge number of people were already trading with me. Basically, how do we open a position? Initially, when we enter the market, we can immediately take horizontal lines and set them from the upper level, then like this. So we set the lower, upper, middle levels and so on. Basically, how do we open? We see that a small consolidation is started here for us. So the market is moving in this corridor. We see where its upper boundary is and where the lower boundary is. Basically, when the chart moves out of these boundaries, we can then potentially say that we'll have either a market reversal or the chart will fall. I currently have $4,000 in my account. I only open each position at 1%. So I'm gonna set a position size of $40. I'll open a long position here right away. Generally, when I trade, I open positions for 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah, so about how to choose the trading time, how to choose your strategy, I'll definitely make a video on that too. So if you're not subscribed for some reason to my YouTube channel or Telegram channel, you can do that right now. Don't forget about that, okay? Especially since I'm trying to post many, many videos for you right now. Basically, when I see some sharp momentum, yeah, I can go ahead and bet more right away. And definitely, yeah, the regulators who say this is risky. Of course it's risky, because for example, I could bet, just imagine, I could bet even $4,000 for a minute and lose that money if I come in like a fool, don't follow any rules, and don't follow risk management. And unfortunately, most people come into trading, they talk about 80%, but I'd say 95% of people lose their money because people come here like it's a casino. They want to get some kind of thrill out of it. If you come in with that mindset, naturally, trading will give you the chance to lose your money. So you definitely should only start trading if you understand that you're ready to learn, you're ready to spend time on it, you're ready to spend money on it, and you won't give up, right? But if you're thinking, oh, I'll start trading with my last $10, I don't have any more money, and so on, then it's better not to come and not to start. I'm telling you straight, guys. See, for example, because I start with $1, I always have money in reserve, right? So I divide my deposit into 6 steps. Yeah, 6. So I understand that I can basically be wrong 5 times. My 6th position can end in profit, and like everything's great. Even though I'm already trading according to a strategy. Look here, we saw, right, that our chart reached the support level. This is actually a pretty strong level, because if I scroll back, it was only lower than this at 4 pagem. So basically like 3 hours ago, even a bit more. If we see that it's such a strong level, naturally there's a very high probability, as I said, of a bounce from here. Plus we see consolidation happening here, meaning it's touching the lower, upper levels. Actually, we're closing this position in profit now with an 87% return. I get $374. And we bet a total of 40, 80, and 200. Yeah, so I bet 320 and made 374, plus $54 right before your eyes. Next, for example, we can open a position together. Here we can also set up a time, whatever's convenient. In fact, on my Telegram channel, I always post something like open for this much time. For example, I see that the chart has returned to its original state. So we understand that charts are actually very often cyclical. Yeah, we see that our trend, well, it was a downward trend. Now, the chart is moving in a corridor, and if we plot it with a zigzag, let's take an indicator. Take a look, right? Here's our zigzag plotted out. So we have a sharp drop, then a rise, drop, rise. The situation here is similar, right? So we see where its bottom touch is with a very high probability if we haven't broken through this lower level yet, right? And we haven't consolidated below it, that already tells us the market is definitely not for sellers, right? So the market is currently in stagnation, but at a certain level, meaning both sellers and buyers are more or less holding it at the same point. When one of these forces prevails, we'll see a sharp, bounce. We have literally 1 minute left. So I've just opened a somewhat longer position. If we see a sharp change in the candle, we'll get ready immediately. Don't forget this most important part. We'll just prepare like this, and then we'll open. Waiting. Well, overall, look, it's already happening, right? We can take it here. I've opened it for 1 minute. For 1 minute. Why did I open it for 1 minute just now? Because overall, a change in the candle has occurred. According to the zigzag, this level is still higher than the previous one. Yes, so there are a huge number of strategies, and I'll make separate videos about them. If you want me to film a video about a specific strategy, be sure to mention that in the comments too. I read everything and try to respond to everyone. There are a ton of different strategies that, of course, work at different times, with news, without news. Basically, ask about any points that interest you. And then there's the smart money strategy, right? Smart money? With this strategy, when you trade, right, you have to understand where the, let's say, general trend is going, where the people with money, like the whales, want to put it. Look here, it's touching the level. Opening another one for the absolute shortest time possible. So right now, all my positions are set, since we didn't see, say, a very sharp drawdown here. Notice how the chart tried to break out. Here on the candle, a shadow formed, a fairly significant one, right? Meaning the candle closed with a very small body. The body of the candle here is about 20% of the previous one. So this already tells us that, well, if it were a seller's market, it would have been knocked out hard by now, but that's not happening. Let's wait for it. But I think it's very likely that the market will try to rise here after all to get back in. Well, we'll see. If there's a sharp impulse, it's very likely that a reversal could still happen. 500. Let's wait for 4, 3, 2, 1. There, that's it. I'm opening $500 now, opening $500 on a rise, and here, if you'll allow me to break the rules a bit, I'll take a risk. We'll put down $2,000 now, but we'll wait for a very good moment in case something goes wrong. Waiting. Okay. Pay attention to where our next one is. So you see, thanks to the zigzag, we immediately see the moments, not just how our candles, close and open and where their shadows are, but we immediately see the highest levels, the lowest levels, where the price has actually gone. And of course, some people look at this and think, oh, how can you open against the trend like that, right? But guys, again, as I say, a reversal will naturally happen. You'll see it now. Look, a sharp impulse. So I'm opening a position on a rise. So as you saw, we had a sharp drawdown. Now, people might say to me, Robert, you're opening against the trend. Everything is just going to keep falling now. But guys, as I've already shown you, we've broken through the lowest level. Now, there will definitely be a trend toward a reversal. There it goes, exactly what I was talking about. And I understand perfectly that imagine someone is watching this now and thinking, but that's so risky and so on. But of course, if you're a beginner, you come in, you start incorrectly, allocating your deposit, you start randomly opening up and down, it's obvious that you'll lose it all. That's exactly why I made my YouTube channel, to talk about strategies, indicators, fundamental analysis, and I made my, Telegram channel for that as well. I do all of this on an absolutely free basis. I don't ask you for any money, so welcome. Come in, trade, and we'll achieve results together. Actually, for this trade, it's a great result. So there, you see, we caught the moment of at least a small reversal, right, when it settled down, because a 3-candle pattern worked for us here. This is exactly how we trade. The results, as you can see from what I've just filmed for you, speak for themselves. Essentially, that's how trading works, right? Analysis, entry, sometimes a loss, but cold calculation and coming out on top. And all this time, no one has blocked my account. The quotes haven't frozen, and the money is in the balance. And what's more, I can withdraw them quite easily in crypto. This is the reality of trading on Pocket Option in 2026. So what's the bottom line? First, there is no total global ban on option. There are local restrictions that create noise but don't stop the market. Second, while most panic, smart traders use offshore platforms that keep working. And third, most importantly, crypto is the key that solves payment blocks and opens all doors. You just saw with your own eyes that trading and earning is more than real. The platform works, strategies work, and money is deposited and withdrawn. The fear and panic being stirred up is just a filter for those who won't think for themselves. Of course, in one video, I can't tell you everything. Which crypto to use, how to trade, how to save on fees, how to withdraw, and which strategies work now. All this inside info, my daily trading sessions, trade breakdowns, and specific signals, as I said, I post in my Telegram channel. It's not for everyone. It's for those who realize that behind all these fears lie huge opportunities. If you're ready to act instead of fear, the link is in the description, so be sure to subscribe. We'll continue there, and I'll share things I'll never talk about on YouTube. Start thinking for yourself, and the market will reward you.